super early. It's about 6:30 in the morning. I woke up early and couldn't go back to sleep, so it was raining. I've already been out on a slug hunt and filled up the compost bin with slugs and snails. I know that barely makes a dent in the population out here, but it makes me feel better. So I'm out here early because I've got the hairdresser coming a bit later this morning, and so expect a transformation. But also I want to transform this greenhouse. Did you like that segue there? The greenhouse, look, I can't even find somewhere to put my tea. It's an absolute disaster area. Right, I'm going to swap the camera for the tea and show you. I'm kind of embarrassed to show you. Well, I'm in part embarrassed by the size of my peppers and aubergines, but I'm mostly embarrassed by this. And the disaster continues over here. Oh dear, let this get really out of control. I mean, in part it's bad because yesterday I had a major planting out day, major. So all the flowers that I had sown and were just getting moved around from out of the greenhouse into the flimsies, out onto shelving units and things. Honestly, they've just been moved all over the place. I finally got them into the ground, so I just had a massive blitz. It's not all out. There's some smaller, I've got some smaller petunias and things that I can save and will be good for filling gaps if needed. And I've still got a gazillion cosmos and a gazillion kales, obviously. But the bulk of it is now out, and that feels good because I said to myself, I can't sow anything new, can't do any July sowings until I've planted out the stuff that I've already got. But now I can't sow anything because of this. So new rule, no July sowings until I've tidied this greenhouse, which is why I'm out here at 6:30 in the morning, because that's how much I want to do some July sowings. But yeah, I mean, I have to clear out the greenhouse probably several times a year. And the easiest way of doing it is to take everything out, organise it, and then put it back in. So that's what I'm going to do. I mean, some might say this is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. For someone who's never actually bought a pot. Having said that, I ran out, didn't I? When I was in the midst of the spring sowings, I ran out of pots. How could that be? Perhaps I just couldn't get to them. Right, this is a big job, yeah. And having said, you know, I've never bought a pot. Obviously I buy plants that are in pots and I always save those pots. And what I have purchased is the Charles Dowding trays, you know, the really rigid trays that should last a lifetime. So I did invest in those. But otherwise, yeah, this is just accumulated from buying plants and often having a rummage through the recycling boxes outside the garden centre to see if there's any, you know, good sizes or nice cell trays. But This now needs sorting into things I want to keep, things that are broken and can go to the recycling, and ones that the plant lady round the corner might want for her stall. Yeah, this will take like 5 minutes. I'm going to need more tea. Right, Dory, where to start? You would be forgiven for thinking that that could not be done, but it has been done. Ta-da! Now, I'm not saying it's perfect, but we have pots in size order, we have trays, we have more trays, we have bigger pots, we have these. I didn't even show you, that's filled my recycling bin. Does anybody else save every single punnet or mushroom container that they get? Yeah, I had about a gazillion and I've used not a single one the entire summer. So a lot of those went, but I kept ones that are good for covering the trays. But yeah, hurrah! I can actually get to here to water the cucumbers. Brilliant. Oh, tidy space, tidy mind. Is that what they say? I don't think it's quite that. But yeah, God, that feels so much better. Only took 2 hours. And of course, the perennial question, why on earth, I'll try not to swear, can the manufacturers of plant pots not get together and just decide on a freaking size? Why is a 9 centimetre pot different whatever brand or manufacturer makes them? They should all be exactly the same 9 centimetre pot that all fit in each other. It's incredibly frustrating. And the same with the cell trays. There's a cell tray that's got 6 cells in, they're all square. There's one that looks exactly the same. They don't fit inside one another. Some fraction of a difference in size. It's a burden we all bear. And full disclosure, I've done absolutely nothing with this corner. And in fact, every time I clean the greenhouse, nothing ever gets sorted in these cubby holes. Who knows what's in there? Do you know what's in there, Dory? Are you impressed, Dory? What do you think? There's room for you in here now. Let's have a look at the tomatoes. Any side shoots, Dory? Are you taking care of that? Yes, what do you want? You want your breakfast? Me too. I think it's time for breakfast. Except now that I have to clean the house because the hairdresser's coming. But then we can sew some stuff. So I shall see you on the other side of the hairdresser. Transformed. I think I overbigged the hair. Every couple of months it just goes up a bit. She did curl it. So my plan was to come out here and do some July seed sowing. I'm really tired. Cleaning the greenhouse at 6:30 a.m. kind of takes it out of you. So I think I'm just going to watch tennis instead. And probably have a tennis nap. But I'll treat myself to a cornetto first. Vegan cornetto. I might put a couple of more bits in. And while I'm here talking to you, let me show you a few things I've been doing in the garden. So you may recall that this shelving was absolutely packed, as was other spaces in the garden. But now most of it has been put out. There's just a few bits left that are all still tiny. Got the leeks there, the globe artichokes down there. Just some bits and pieces. These are the strawberries that I grew from seed. You'd think I'd have enough strawberries, but these are white ones. I think they're called white soul, so a pine berry. But I'm really pleased. I've got 5 of them. They grew up really well. It's one of the big new additions to the garden, which you probably can't really tell is even in here, is this tree or shrub. It is a witch hazel. So, those of you who have been with me for a while or watched back will know that in the winter I went to a garden centre and saw a witch hazel for, what was it, £95? Couldn't believe it. Coveted it, of course, but there's no way I was ever going to pay that. Anyway, it benefits to sometimes buy plants out of season when they're expensive, and I found this in the local garden centre for £15 this week. Brilliant. It's a is it Gibbons perfume? So it's the classic kind of yellow with the red centre flower, and I thought I'll put it in the herb garden right here at the front of the garden. So in the winter, when you're not necessarily coming in and out of the garden, although I do tend to, but when I'm standing doing my washing up, I'll be looking out onto the beautiful witch hazel. Another thing I added to the herb bed was this agastache, which has little purple. There we go. I didn't think it was going to focus. But I bought this without realising that agastache, hyssop, and Korean licorice mint are all the same thing. Now I've grew from seed and already owned all of them without realising it because they all had different names. So now I have a load of those. I grew a load of agastache from seed, the white one. So I put that all over the garden. I had about 18 plants of that at least. I put zinnias out. Not very exciting to look at when they're not flowering anything. Nicotiana or tobacco plant. Here's my vivascum. I am so chuffed with this thing. Look at it, and look how striking it is against the backdrop of the Acer. Beautiful. Now that I grew from seed a couple of years ago, and it's taken that long to flower. I saw on Instagram someone talking about vivascums, and maybe that one in particular, and that they were difficult to grow. So that made me feel a lot better because I did a whole packet of seeds and got one, and then it took 2 years to flower. I mean, I know it's biennial anyway, but it took like an extra year. But yeah, super. I'm really pleased with it. And then this is my additional tomato setup. So the mini greenhouses have been repurposed. I've taken out the shelves. I've filled up these tubs, and each one has a couple of tomatoes, some basil, and a marigold in. Not sure about the spacing, not sure that these are going to be tall enough, but yeah, we went for it, didn't we, Dory? Have a scratch. I also bought some coleus. Oh, I showed you those before, didn't I? Yeah, always like to kill some of those every year. And then the conifer bed, the old conifers where they were, I've now weeded out all what I think was honesty So I've left a few, but I didn't need an entire bed of honesty. And then I filled in with the agastache, some petunias as well, and the nicotiana and cosmos as well in there. So it's all looking pretty good now. I'm really excited about these gladioli coming up. The vegetable beds have all had a little makeover, so the bolted lettuce is out and new lettuce is in. Not sure what the varieties are because labelling. There we go. And this bed had some summer savoury put in and lots of purslane, green purslane. Then the first big bed, asparagus peas went in. Look at the flower on them. They're striking. Really like deep orangey red. And then there's some amaranth in there. There's some Aztec broccoli. I did fill in the line of the parsnips, so put some fresh seed in the gaps. We'll see what happens. We've got dwarf beans, more amaranth, more dwarf beans, and a row of vegetable mallow. Kales are looking good over here, and we have peas. And then the rest of the tomatoes, so this is my tomato wardrobe. I added basil and marigolds into there as well. And then I had 6 left, and they've gone into these 2 grow bags with some randomly placed sticks, which I don't think are going to be much use at all. So these are the poorliest looking ones that are still just out of their cells. They only came in here yesterday, I think. Yesterday. Whereas these have been in for a couple of weeks and they're looking way better. And the other thing that finally went out, which I almost forgot I had, were the straw flowers. Little straw flower. Oh, hello, Dory. So if you remember a while back when I was probably sowing the straw flowers, because I did them super early, it was because last year they were just about to flower as the first frost came. Hang on, I've got to kick the ball for the dog. So my aim this year was to sow them really early, to ensure that they would flower before frost came. But then they sat in their cells for months, and they've finally gone into the ground and they're still teeny tiny. So probably not going to have straw flowers again. Now, another thing I did, which I'm a bit loath to draw attention to because somebody has a big ball there. Let's kick that down there. Oh, ow! I didn't kick that very well. There we go. While she's away. These are the carnations that I bought from Gardener's World Live. So I potted those up and staked them as well. But a flower is coming, which is very exciting. And speaking of things that are flowering, check out the chocolate cosmos. Looks like a snail or slug has been checking it out also. One definitely check this out. Maybe this wasn't the best place for the chocolate cosmos. Anyway, it's flowered. So in terms of things still to go out, must find places for all these cosmos. I am offering them to family and friends, give them good homes. All of this is fine for now, but these are my current head scratchers. These are all different berries. So the first one here is from Wilco's and is a chokeberry. And it was tiny when I bought it, so that's put on some nice growth. And then this one, look at her. Look at that magnificent plant. Again, this was teeny tiny when I bought it. And this one is the autumn olive, which is from Jurassic Plants. Oh yeah, I've not shown you my kiwis. I'll do that in a moment. This is from Jurassic Plants, where I did an order a while ago, and actually I've been meaning to show you these plants for ages. But this is an autumn olive which produces a small edible fruit. They're all edibles, but they're all unusual edibles. That's what Jurassic Plants sort of specialises in. So the Japanese wineberry, you do get those in the shops. So that's not quite as unusual, but it's a nice specimen. And so I've already put one of those on the plot, and I want one in the home garden. Although now I'm thinking maybe they should go on the arches on the allotment and have both of them there. So that one's still a thinker. And then this is an almond tree. And it's very tall. Again, these were super tiny plants when they first came. They've only been repotted once, but they're definitely ready to be repotted again or go out. And Jurassic Plants were at Gardeners World Live, and that's where I bought the kiwi then, because it was a bargain. Put that out yesterday. So this one is the male, I think. So it's a climber, and it produces little red kiwis that you can eat the whole thing. And then, where did I put the female? Oh no, where's the female gone? She ran off. Didn't want to be tied to one bloke. Where's it gone? Oh, here it is. Okay. Oh, this might be the male. I think the other was the female. This is the male. So there he is climbing up as well. You need a male and a female to pollinate and produce the fruit. So you buy them as a pair. Now I've already put this in the intro shots, but I have to show it you again. Is this climbing rose? Oh, she's called Crazy in Love. And yeah, she's a climber, so my hope is she's going to go up over the archway. I did have one on this side to match, but as you may recall, the roses on both of the arches on this side didn't do very well, so I relocated those to the allotment to give them a last chance. But yeah, is that everything I've been up to? Probably not. I really did do a huge blitz of just trying to get as much stuff out and in the ground as possible, in part so that I can sow more stuff, but also it was becoming a little bit of a burden, I think. And I was feeling I talked about it last week, feeling a little bit overwhelmed by everything. So I feel tons better now that all that stuff is out. Tons better. And I did some weeding and just generally tidied. I feel also very good that the greenhouse is tidy. And maybe now I'm motivated to tidy the back of the garden, which is also a big job because not only is there those are the big pots down there, but also loads of cardboard. But also the compost needs turning, because I put loads in there. Look at me fiddling with my hair. Put loads in there, so it needs cardboard adding because it's all green waste at the moment, and it needs a turn. So that would be a good reason to do the tidying. What was I going to do? I was going to watch tennis and have a nap. I'm talking to you now. I've got my second wind. Right, let's do that today. Let's finish tidying. I'm feeling good about that, and then tomorrow we'll do some sowing. How about that? Sound good? Good. Right. Finish my ice cream. Could eat another one. It's a rainy morning, so I'm glad I did the tidying stuff yesterday, and today I can hide in the greenhouse. It looks like it is rain all day today, but I just wanted to show you what I achieved yesterday in terms of clearing the back of the garden. So, I mean, not perfect, but I think that's the view I had you on yesterday. You can see how much better it is. So I gave the plum tree a little prune so that it doesn't flip me in the face every time I come by to the compost heap. Compost heap is now pretty full. A lot of that cardboard got torn up and added to the compost. Still got this rubbish to dispose of. A bit of a wood pile brick thing going on a very old broken bench. Very good for wildlife though, because I saw an enormous frog, or probably toad I guess, in there, and there were plenty of spiders. You may have seen that one crawled up my arm while I was clearing that away. But yeah, it feels so much better to have that cleared and actually walkable now. Hey Dory. So still a little bit of work that needs doing there, but not a job for today in the rain. I think my first greenhouse job of the day is to tidy up the tomatoes, which have become a little bit of a jungle. So they're not enormously tall yet. There's plenty of string to go, but they've certainly bushed out, and I mean, what a difference. I think some of you were doubting that my poor sad tomatoes were going to come to anything, but they have made tomato plants and there are flowers on them, and they're looking pretty healthy and pretty strong now. So my tomatoes might be a bit later than other people, but we are getting there. Don't know if so much could be said for the chilies, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. So yes, I'm going to take out some of the lower leaves, remove the suckers, wind them up the strings, in readiness for tomorrow when it's their watering day. But before I do that, it's now mid-July. It's the 14th of July today, and this is really your last opportunity to crop from your rhubarb. So generally sort of July, mid-July, the latest for rhubarb, and then you want to leave it so that all the energy goes back into the crown and you get a good harvest next year. But my rhubarb is looking great. I mean, she's a lovely beast. So I'm just going to look and see. Yeah, you see there's lots of very edible stalks still there. So I'm going to treat myself to some rhubarb. I'm going to I think stew some for breakfast, and then put some in the freezer, I think. I have 3 rhubarb plants in this square, in fact. Can you demonstrate for us, Dory? Do you want to point it out? Or are you just going to stand in the asparagus? Dory, come on, off you get. While we're here, I've still got these turnips. I have eaten a few, but there's still lots there. I think turnips are okay. They just get bigger, right? They might get a bit woody, I guess. But here, if we bring up this leaf, oh, you can see, perhaps you can see, that this one is actually a baby rhubarb just here. And Dory, you're in the asparagus again. There's another baby rhubarb just there. So yeah, of course, they shouldn't be there. There is only enough room for the giant rhubarb and a goji berry and a josta berry. Packing it in. So at some point those rhubarbs need to be lifted and transplanted someplace else, probably the allotment. Right. Oh. Just got to show you this while we're here. These Jerusalem artichokes are just enormous. Oh, they're amazing. And I think, yeah, they're just starting to get their flower heads. But I'm super chuffed with those. Just shows you don't need a sunny spot for Jerusalem artichokes. They'll do okay in shade. The other thing out here is the gooseberries that I have netted to keep away from the birds, although the birds weren't interested in them last year. But I'm not taking any chances. Just because they weren't last year doesn't mean they wouldn't this year. So I have netted all of the gooseberries, got the green there and the red, and they're very ready to pick, but I don't want to do that in the rain. I think picking the rhubarb is enough, although here I am just standing in the rain continuing to chat to you. The other thing that's currently covered are the blueberries, which I can get to now that I've cleared up over here. So let's have a look inside. So yeah, you can see some are ready in there, but the majority are on this plant, which is the pink lemonade blueberry, and these ones are not quite ready yet. There's a few ready, or getting there on this one. What variety is that one? Oh, Brigata Blue. There. Coming along. Anyway, that'll be exciting when we can do a big harvest from there. Let's cover it back up. But for now, I'm just going to take a few stalks of rhubarb. Hello, baby tomato. We have a tomato. And this variety is Jen's Tangerine. That's the real seeds one. Now this is a peculiar tomato because look what's happening here. So this is the main stem, but then it's got another one here. So this would make me suspect that this is a sucker. But yeah, I don't know. It's a funny one. It's so low down on the stem, but there's no leaf that comes with the sucker. It's got to come out because this is the main stem, and it's doing good things. So yeah, goodbye sucker. Here's another one, chocolate cherry, that has, this time you can see there's the leaf and there's the sucker, and it's grown rather long. I have been keeping on top of these, but you wouldn't believe it. There we go. And what else have we got in here? You see this looks like a sucker as well. I don't know, maybe they're just multiple stem tomatoes. But yeah, that's a huge one as well. So with each of these, I'm just, oh no, I cut the string. Did I cut it or did it break? I was warned that the strings might break. Right, what I'm going to do then is tie that to the base of the tomato. Anyway, there we go. A little bit better. Can see my marigolds again now. But yeah, I've not been too ruthless because the flowers are only just coming out. Once there are more flowers on here and more visible trusses, then I'll be a lot more ruthless. And that's what I think is the key to being able to grow tomatoes this close together, is that you've just got to keep on top of them, keep those lower branches being pruned out. Because as Charles Dowding told us this week, most of the work is being done by the tops of the trusses of the plants. That's where your photosynthesis is happening, and those lower leaves aren't doing too much other than getting in the way of airflow and being able to see your tomatoes. So yeah, that last year I had more plants in this area than I've got this year, only by a couple, but there were more. So I'm confident about this spacing and that it can work, but yeah, you do have to keep on top of it. And that's only kind of a small bucket of cuttings. My expectation is that in a few weeks I'll be getting, you know, full tubs of prunings from these tomato plants every couple of weeks. But yeah, they're all looking pretty healthy. Some of the string has snapped. I was warned about this in the comments, that this twine isn't really tough enough. I'm trying to think, I think I used like just a kind of standard string last year and that was okay, but last year I tied to the bottom of the plants rather than going under the soil, and obviously when the soil's wet you're going to get more rot on the strings. Where the string has snapped, I've just tied it to the bottom of the plant, which is really, you know, just then what I did the year before, so it'll be fine, she says. Right, let's do a bit of a snail and slug hunt because I can see loads. Well, it's been rain all day here today and I haven't got much done, to be honest. It's been very much an indoor day. But I'm just taking this opportunity between men's semi-finals to talk about what I want to sow in July. So while Djokovic was just playing, I have... my goodness. Seems a lot. I'm about to get overwhelmed again. Oh dear, it must be just part of the fun, isn't it? But yeah, I've sorted through my seed folders and everything I want to sow. Not right now, I'm going to go in and watch the next semi-final, but over the next few days, and I'm going to try not to be overwhelmed and just sort of do a little bit of sowing over the next week and get through all of these. I think either later today or tomorrow morning I'll make up my sowing compost. So I'm going to use multi-purpose compost. I'm not going to use seed sowing compost because I leave things in their cells too long. So I'm going to use some multi-purpose, but I'm going to mix some coir with it and some perlite. So some of these actually can be direct sown as well. So here is what I'm going to sow in July. First of all on the list is herbs, and I'm going with dill, a flat leaf parsley and tarragon. I have had no luck whatsoever growing tarragon. I did buy some because I finally gave up, so that is in the herb bed, but I would like to crack growing tarragon. And I think for this, now it is, I'm not giving myself the best chance because it is out of season. You should sow this, according to this, March, April, May. But I noticed that it was a sow by date of September 23. So I'm going to give it a go. Okay. I'm going to direct sow some more carrots. So I think the advice is to sow at the beginning of July and end of July. Well, we're smack in the middle of July, so I might just do one more sowing of carrots because I've got 2 beds here and 2 beds at the allotment already with carrots. But I've chosen an early Nantes, so it'll be quick growing. I've got Eskimo, which you can sow May to October. This is from Seed Pantry. And I've got Red Samurai, just for some variation in colour. Chards and spinaches, I've gone with peppermint. I've had no luck with chard so far, so hopefully we'll get some chard. And my spinach bolted immediately, so this is the Amelia F1. I've just picked 2 of those because I'm going to do, oh no, actually, I lied. I've got giant winter spinach as well, which is from the Seed Saving Network. So I want to sow that so that I can contact them and let them know how it's going, because they want data from the people that they have gifted seed to. But yeah, I wasn't doing so much chard and spinach because I really want to get some rocket in. I don't know what happened to my rocket either. I think the problem is I sow so much and then lose track of all the bits, and of course my labelling has been terrible. But yeah, I'm doing the same thing again. But I've got Rocket Astra and Rocket Apollo, so they're both salad rockets as opposed to wild rockets, but you can sow these right up until August, and September in fact for that one. And I think I will direct sow those, so I need to make space in the bed. For my cabbages, I'm going with a Savoy January King. This is out of date according to the back of the packet, but I know other people are growing Savoys at this time of year. And Greyhound, which you can sow until July. I'm not very good with knowing my cabbages, like what's a spring, summer and winter cabbage. I just don't know. So I kind of just go with what's on the back of the pack. I'm going to do some more calabrese and some more cauliflower all year round. I mean, obviously I've got millions of brassicas at the back, but this will be the succession, she says, hopefully. A couple of dwarf beans, so I'll get successions of dwarf beans because I've already put quite a few out, but this one is the purple teepee, and then I've got a green one which is Calador. Now for my like mustards and Asian greens and things, I've got Mr. Hong's Vietnamese mustard, which I heard really good things about and managed to get some seeds from the Incredible Seed Library. So I'm going to try those out. I think it overwinters really well. I've got a couple of Pak Joys, a red and a green one, which is a Colour and Crunch. And that's just red Pak Choi. For my Asian greens, I've got Oriental Greens Purple Frills, I've got Mizuna, and I've got a Tatsoi. These are vital seeds that I've had for a couple of years now, so they're probably coming up to their date. I've also got a Claytonia Winter Purslane, which is from Vital Seeds, so those are going to go in. And my Real Seeds one are 70 Days Improved Yu Choi Sum, which is an amazing vegetable from China with dark green leaves and flowering shoots, delicious cooked or raw. Harvest just before its flowers open, and sow any time, but you'll get bigger plants if sown after midsummer, so mid-June to August for an outdoor crop. So, oh, you can do September for a protected winter crop as well, so this may go into once the tomatoes come out, my winter salad bar. And I've got Mibuna, which is another Oriental green. I've got some mixed salad leaves, beetroot. So, oh dear, do I really want to sow 5 different beetroots? That sounds like getting into overwhelmed territory again, but I've got Chioggia, Golden Eye, Alto, which is white beetroot, Renova, and Boldor, which is the one that I left outside, so it really needs sowing if those seeds are still any good. Got rained on. I don't know, I've got that beetroot that I'm growing on the allotment. I've got 2 plants, or 2 clumps in the beds here, which the birds are sort of allowing now to establish, but whether I'll get any bulbs from them. So yeah, what the hell. Otherwise, yeah, I'm not going to have that many beetroot. I showed you turnips earlier, but I'm going to do a few more. Tokyo Cross again. April to September, so they can still be sown now. Just a few radishes. I've got a black Spanish that never seems to do that well in terms of the actual radish. Have been harvesting the seed heads and adding to stir fries and things, and yeah, pretty tasty. So I'm going to do that one. I've got radish China Rose. I've got this one, Runda, labels come off, Runda Schwarzer, which is another winter one. Oh, which I think black Spanish is also perhaps a winter one. So that's my radishes. Cabbage. Oh, I did cabbages. I've got another one here, red drumhead. Not sure. Oh, direct sow April to June. Maybe give that one a little go. Kale. I've got kale, Nero de Toscana, and I've also got a Chinese cabbage, Wongbok, which is from Real Seeds. Fast growing, pale green, upright Chinese cabbage that has white ribs and stores well after cutting. Use raw like lettuce or cooked. Exceptionally tasty flower sprouts as well. It's cool weather. After midsummer, so from the 2nd week of June onward. Kohlrabi. There was a point at which I said, oh, I've got no kohlrabi seeds, and I went out and bought some, and the reason I have no seeds is because I've evidently sown loads of them, and now they're all growing on the allotment when I thought they were kales. Nevertheless, I'm going to sow some more. Fennel. Fennel is the thing to sow at this time of year. I'm slightly battling the fennel that's in the tomato bed, which you don't want growing with other, well, particularly with tomatoes. They don't get on well together. And I've got 3 growing in the home garden, none at the allotment. But yeah, I'll do a few more Florence fennel. I'll probably do those in plugs. My spring onions have been really slow. I'm nowhere near harvesting any of the spring sown ones yet. So we'll do some more. Another lettuce salad bowl. Ingegnoli's self-blanching chicory. Not very good with my Italian pronunciation. This is a Real Seeds lovely chicory from the seed house of Ingognoli in Italy. Loose heading plants making crisp tasty leaves that aren't bitter. Pick the young leaves or allow to head up. Now, I wanted to grow chicory, and I thought I had another chicory actually, but I wanted to grow it less for the leaves and more for the flowers. They are just gorgeous chicory flowers, those blue flowers. In fact, they could go in the blue border. So I'm hoping this is a variety that does particularly good flowers. Purple sprouting broccoli, I've already done some, so that'll be another succession of that, or in case those ones fail. And I've got some broccoli rabe, or rapini, or chimney de rapa, or however you want to call it, which can be direct sown now. And yes, I'm going to find just a little patch to do that in. And lastly, as we rattle through these, I'm going to do some flowers. Now is the time to grow delphiniums. Never grown a delphinium before in my life. Now I have 4 packets. 2 are from last year's local summer fete, and they were selling like out of date seed packets for pennies. So these are out of date, and I'm just going to sow all of them. In fact, I might just scatter sow these ones And then my aunt has saved seed from her delphiniums from this spring, so I've got some fresh seed that I can sow. And I also have a delphinium question mark, which is seed that I collected from Woodbrook, and I could be delphinium, who knows. So we'll sow that one as well. I've already sown a few hollyhocks, but I'm going to sow a few more because not that many came up. These are all from my neighbour. This one is white with a pink middle, and this one is a dark red. And I'm super happy with my hollyhocks on the front and how beautiful they look. It's really windy this afternoon, and they have been whipping across the front window while I've been watching the tennis. But I have been coveting people around the streets who have got really dark red blooms, and mine are all very pastel-y, so I thought I'll do some dark red. Foxglove, I have planted a lot of foxgloves this year on the allotment and in the home garden, because foxgloves I think will do particularly well in this new shady border under the ginkgo tree, because they're okay in shade and they're okay with dry. So that's my hope, that they're going to do well there. Last year, yeah, yes it would be last year, I sowed this one from my neighbour, which is giant spotted foxglove. It's a white flower with red spots in the middle. That will flower now next year, and I will save seed from that when it flowers. But I have a few more seed here so that I can sow some now and get another succession. It's a lot of planning, isn't it, with biennials? But yeah, so I'm going to do some foxgloves, was the long and short of that. Most of my packets of calendula say sow till June, but this one says March till September, which is the art shades. So I'm just going to do a few more calendula. As long as you keep deadheading, calendula will keep flowering, but there's definitely spaces where I could put in more. And I've never grown successfully, because the packet seems to be open, so I guess I've had a go, at evening primrose. And it says you can sow March to July, which I think is then for flowers the following year. I'd like some evening primrose, another yellow flower. Okay, and that is what I'm going to sow in July. Now, as I was going through the seeds, there were quite a few things that were sort of sow spring, and then you could do a second sowing in August, September. So, I mean, we're already mid-July now, so in a week or two, I'm going to go through all my folders again, take out everything that says it can have August, September sowing, and do those. But for now, this should keep me pretty busy for a few days. If there's anything you think I've missed that I really need to be sowing in July, and you know I want to sow because I want to sow everything, let me know in the comments, okay, and I can add them to my basket, because what's one or two more, hey? Where all these will eventually go, whether it will be the allotment or the home garden, we shall see. I think it's going to be a case of where's there's space, and of course potatoes are going to be coming out. I've still got the onions to take out, so room will be becoming available. But I don't know if how much the camera picks this up, but it is super dark out here. It's like almost 5 o'clock. It's super dark. It's still raining. The wind is picking up, and it's meant to be really windy tomorrow. So I think my plan is to go back inside and keep warm, keep my seeds dry, and worry about this tomorrow. What I am slightly worried about is my sunflowers on the plot. So like the home garden, the flowers that are tall here, my hollyhocks and tansy and everlasting sunflowers, and what else is on the front that is blowing around in the wind? The verbena borealensis, still can't say that. All of that is whipping around, but I'm not worried about it. They've all got like really good stems on them. They're nice and flexible. What I'm worried about is my sunflowers on the plot, because they're in like an open space. The wind is just going to whip right through them. So I think on the dog walk this evening, I'm going to be taking some bamboo canes down there and staking all of my sunflowers. I probably should have done that already. But yes, so that's I think my final job of oh gosh, of my week off, because this is it, 5 o'clock Friday. That's my fortnight off. Done. Back to work on Monday. So thank you for joining me for this week. Yeah, do let me know if I've forgotten anything or what you're going to be sowing this July. And I will catch you next week when we might do our little plot judging over on the allotment. And we're probably going to be harvesting onions and some more potatoes. So I shall see you then. If you enjoyed, like and subscribe. And yeah, take care. Blah, blah, blah.